Hello there. Welcome. Today I have Nina Camille with me. She's a graduate of the Creatrix process and she totally crushed it and created absolute magic, and she's continued to create success. And so I'm so excited to share her client case study and her journey with you. So Nina, thank you so much for being here. And let's just kick it off by sharing with people what it is that you do.
Amazing. Thank you for having me. I am a transformation artist. And yeah, do you want me to share like what I created with you? Because that's really what I do
Yes.
now. Amazing. So in the Creatrix process with Jolie, we created my signature program, which is called Experience Freedom. So it's a 4-month transformational program, which includes an international retreat that is a little bit more upscale and high end. And yeah, it's amazing, really teaching people how to master the lifestyle of freedom on a daily basis.
Hmm. So I remember sitting down with you, Nina, and you were just like, I'm so ready to create something, but holy shit, stepping into new pricing was a big deal for you. And I remember that piece of paper we wrote down. We're like 4-month group coaching experience with an international retreat. You had this background with producing these music festivals back in the day, which is how we met. And combining your experience of event production plus like this like really luxury style high-end retreat experiences and combining that into a coaching program, and you absolutely rocked it. So will you share your result from that first launch you created inside of Creatrix Calling?
Yeah, when you proposed that idea to me, it just felt like you pulled it out of the ether, and it felt like it could never happen. And then when it did, it just blew my mind. So my first launch was around $55,000, I believe, 8 people. And we went through the 4 months together, and it totally blew my mind.
Incredible. And then, so then you were faced with, once you graduated the program, doing round two. And what happened with round two of your program?
Oh my gosh, round two was even bigger and even better and deeper and more powerful. Like when I did round one, I thought, this is everything I've ever wanted to do. I can't believe this is even possible. And then I did round two and I made way more money and I had more people, and the transformation was even deeper. And the group that I attracted in was just so open already. And so the places that we went to and the work that we did was so deep, and it blew me away. So that launch ended up being $64,000, and I
Mhm.
had 9 in the group. So
So great. And here you are planning number 3 with a retreat to Bali. Your retreat before was in Costa Rica and then off the coast of Panama,
yep,
because
that's
of
right.
Panama, and then Bali. And so, I mean, I just remember, Nina, back in the day when I used to sit down and do my affirmations when I really wanted to be a coach, like circa 2012, 2013. And I would just dream of my calendar being full of clients. My affirmation was, my calendar is full. I have clients coming to me in abundance. I wanted to be busy. Like I wanted to actually be doing my healing purpose and doing my life's work on the planet. And so, like, what's opened up for you as a healer, as a facilitator, as a leader from actually going through the process and doing your launch?
Uh, when you and I first started talking, I had like a fledgling coaching business. I had no clarity on like what my big offering was. I knew that there was a lot moving through me, and I was pretty clueless on how I wanted to deliver that and definitely how that would support me. And I never thought in a million years that I would end up running a 6-figure business in my first year doing what I love to do anyway. Like it was just insane. I had no idea that was possible for me. So I didn't even know that it was a thing that I could offer my love in all of the ways that I like to. So all of the gifts, all of the knowledge that I've acquired my whole life, all of the like tips and tools and tricks and my own ways of being that have worked for me, to be able to like create something tangible and then offer it to others, where I didn't have to hold back parts of me. I didn't have to choose the one thing that I'm the best at. I got to actually include every single thing that inspires me and all of the gifts that I like to give, like teaching yoga and, health and nutrition and spiritual awakening and all of it. To be able to feel so unbounded in what I was giving to people and then make really good money from it was like, I just woke up out of a fucking dream. Like it was totally mind blowing. And you know, the way that you stood for my magic in that, in such an unwavering way. Anytime I was filled with self-doubt, or I just felt like there's no way that this can work. Like, this is insane what we're doing right now. And anytime I brought that to you, you didn't even budge, not even a little bit. You were like, no, this is actually possible. And this is what you're going to do. Because if you do anything smaller than this, you're going to get bored and you're not going to do it anyway. And because I trusted you, because I knew you already, and I had watched you just do exactly what I wanted to do, which was make money by being who you really are, and like being so expressed. And I just loved that. And so, you know, I chose to trust you like in every way possible. And it paid off so, so hugely. Like, I can't even thank you enough for the amount that you've changed my life. Like, I'll never, ever forget it.
Nina, it's like just such a joy for me because like I consider this my art, the creation of what I can see as potential in a woman and then to bring it to life. And you did heavy lifting, I did heavy lifting plus universal magic. And when those pieces come together with the right strategy, the right product, the right sales strategy, lead gen strategy, if you have all those core components, you absolutely can be successful. And it's just amazing how we're timeline hopping. We're not charging $1,000 and then next year we're charging 2,000 and like going in this kind of incremental growth. You came on the scene charging $100 to a few $100 per session and then going for a full $6,500 package. And that number, or was it 6,000?
The initial rate was 6,000. Okay. Now it's
8,000. So the first $6,000 was just like, whoa, a lot for you to wrap your head around, but you could feel it and you wanted it. And so going back to when we first started this conversation and you were proposed with the investment of Creatrix Calling, what were you sitting with and what had you really choose this for yourself? And was that a scary decision to invest in yourself like this?
It was a horrifying decision. Myself at this level. I never even like heard of a number that high when it came to like personal development and growth and business coaching. However, you know, at the time where we first started talking, I had watched you so closely for so long and I already trusted you. So I was already a yes. And at the time I was living in the spare bedroom of my friend's house. I didn't even have my own place and I didn't have consistent work that I loved. And my mom was in the hospital and everything was just kind of in the air. And, you know, I was so committed and so clear that I needed a next step and that I wanted support in that like I was ready for someone to hold me and what was possible for me. And I knew that you could. And so when you shared with me the number, I was definitely like, oh God, how am I going to do this? And because you had shared with me the numbers that were possible for me, it was so clear that it would be far and beyond worth it. And so, you know, if I had to, I would have opened up a new credit card and maxed it out on this experience. And if I had to do it over, I would do it 10 times over. I would have paid double for what I got out of it.
Nina, thank you so much. It's just what I love so much about a woman investing in herself is like she gets to meet her bigness as soon as she says yes. And I remember the first time I opened a CD and cashed out like life savings to invest 15 grand in a coach. And I did it because I could feel who I was going to be on the other side. And I wanted to meet that version of me. And I've never looked back. And every time that investment is just like huge energetic upgrade. But there's also like a shit ton of coaching programs out there where you're in class with like 150 other people. And so the Creatrix process with the hand holding and really small intimate circles, I just love so much because that way I can assure that someone's following the process and doesn't just like sit in the back of the class and never ask a question kind of thing.
Yeah, for me, one of the huge pieces of working with you that I felt was that you really, really saw me. And I never at any point felt like I was being dropped into an existing way that things are done and that I needed to conform my offering to this structure. It was, here's the structure, here's the process that works. Now plug in who you actually are and we'll design it around, you know, your magic, what will work for you, what works for your life, what feels really fun and exciting for you. And so I felt like you and I were co-creating this thing together, and I got to do it in presence of other women who were so supportive and loving and who are all now like best friends of mine. And so that was a piece that was huge for me, is actually really, really feeling seen by you and what I had to give to the world. And, you know, the way that you held me to my, you know, magic and really saw it and reflected it back to me is the next iteration of confidence that I needed in order to take those really big leaps and those big risks. Because there were many times where I was like, who do you think you are doing this? Like, who do you think you are? You can't do this. And you would be standing there like, no, this is exactly what you're doing. Just go do it. I'm like, all right, well, Jolie says, so I'm going to do it.
Borrow my confidence, as I call it.
Love it.
So thinking about the different modules and the techniques and the tools of the course, like which particular module do you think, or modules do you think was the most helpful in the process and produced the most results?
Yeah. So the module that I believe I carry with me like every single day still almost a year later was the one on money. And money was not necessarily a place that I had huge blocks around. It's something I've been able to play and dance with, but the depth at which you helped us cultivate our relationship with money and invited us to look into all of the darker corners where we might be ignoring it. So you might have like a really good relationship with money over here, but then like you haven't paid your taxes in 7 years, or you have outstanding parking tickets, or there were certain places around money that I just didn't want to deal with and I didn't want to look at or even consider. And so when I started inviting in that really holistic relationship with money and spending time in my own money and like treating it like a lover and, you know, acknowledging that it's this dance that we do with money that allows us to be who we are in the world, and that it's not like an actual thing that's big and scary. It's an agreement that we make. That's a piece that I still carry with me. And it's funny because it's a piece that I find myself sharing with a lot of people. It's what they see in me, that the way that I treat money and invite it in has shifted so drastically since doing your process, that it's a gift that I've actually been able to give away to friends. And it's not a huge piece of what I teach in my course at all, but I still notice a lot of people coming to me like, can you please share the codes that you have been gifted around money, because something is working in your life? And I'm, you know, half the time I just point them back in Jolie's direction, and other times I share with them, you know, my version of what it was that I got out of that conversation. But it was huge. Also the part where we unpack like our existing beliefs and what we've carried from our family, and all of that was just so tremendously valuable, and it was right there, but I just had never considered it in the way that you invited us to.
It's a big deal. You know, a lot of the work that we're doing in Creatrix Calling is working on the frequency level, because if we can get that right, and have really killer strategy and systems and sales processes, when like the marriage of those things come together, like success is inevitable. I'm curious, because I know the slow sales process was hugely beneficial for you, and I'm just curious to hear, so anybody who's watching this who's really struggling with that feeling of like, oh, I hate sales, I'm good at sales but not selling myself, or just sales feel like the hardest part, what did you learn about the sales technique in Creatrix Calling?
I love that you just asked that, because as soon as I finished, I realized just how much I actually got out of the slow sales process. And that was huge for me, because I never loved the idea of selling myself as a coach, because there was always this feeling from other coaches that I was seeing in the marketplace that they approach coaching from a your life sucks, let me help you fix it because I know better than you type of attitude. And that's just not me at all. Like, I want to help people who are genuinely inspired by the way I live and want to know what I have to share about that. And that's it. Like, I don't want to push what I have into anyone if they're not genuinely inspired to hear it. And so the slow sales process was like everything I could have wanted or needed when it came to inviting clients into my space in a way that felt authentic and natural, and just easily inviting people into your space and having a conversation, and then choosing from that place whether or not you both felt the magic to work with one another. Like, I'll never change the way that I do sales, because the person to person, just actual genuine connection feels real to me. And that's the only place I ever want to come from. And so like the funnels and the marketing and the like bots that message back people, none of that ever felt good to me. And yours was the first process where I loved it. I didn't just see that it would work. It was, I actually enjoy this. I like connecting to people, and I like hearing what it is about me that they even want, so that I can actually serve people in a way that provides them the most value.
Yeah. So incredible. You know, I started sales training when I was 16 years old, and I was really good at it because I never wanted to violate the energetic intimacy between me and the person. Like, I never wanted them to buy something they didn't want. When you have that frequency of just like, I know my value, I know what this course can create, I stand in that value and that confidence, and here's the invitation. There's just so much power in that. And like the buy now, urgency, give me your credit card and then decide later, like that always felt so heavy for me as a buyer to be on the other end of it. And so we actually can come into this very natural place with sales, and you just rocked it so beautifully. The last question here is anything that you would say or reflect on. I know you kind of touched on this a bit, but as me as a facilitator and your experience of me as a coach.
Yeah. I mentioned earlier, the way that you see people and what they're capable of is like you just have this like laser straight into someone's like gift and their heart and their possibility, and that you do not budge from that place. You really, really took a stand for me in a way that no one has. And I cannot imagine anyone else being able to bring out of me what you were. It was just so like magnetic and so powerful. And I've seen you do it with so many other people that, they come to you like, hey, this is like kind of what I like to do. And this is kind of what I'm doing now. And then there's just like this cloudy lack of, focus or direction or inspiration. And you just come out with this like beautiful, actually tangible offering that they can give. And then, providing me and us with a strategy that allows us to test it and see if it works and adjust if necessary. But really the way that you just take such a solid stance for people's power and magic, and you do not waver in that. Like I never felt you believe my story once about doubt or fear or any of that. You just didn't budge. You weren't having it. And it made me believe you, and it made me believe in myself, because you not wavering in that way was so steady. And because I trusted you and what you've created, I was like, oh, okay, well, if she sees this and if she believes that this is possible and she's the expert, that's why I'm paying her, then maybe she's right. And giving me that attitude is what actually allowed me to create this for myself. And then being able to do it again, and now I'm getting ready to do it a third time, I get to see that it is me that did it, and that you provided the space and you got to hold me in that so firmly and lovingly that I had no choice but to rise to it.
Thank you, Nina. You followed the process so beautifully. You've been an inspiration to so many. And I think behind everything that we do, behind the numbers, behind the launching, behind all of the metrics, you and I have this in common, which is we are interested in the awakening of human consciousness. And the way I like to use my intuitive gifts is help people birth their passion and their calling, their creatrix calling into the world. And so you getting to do that and that ripple impact that you are, like your clients are having insane results around you. And it's just this fun game we get to play in life. Like we are truly the creators of our human experience and our reality. And you're such a beautiful example of having done that. And hearing you now on your third launch and your over 6-figure income of profit, and you're working down to like less than 20 hours a month, did you say? Did you really say that? Or was that a week?
Like that. Yeah, there are a few months that have been like that, where
So
I'm
amazing.
so comfortable with where I'm at financially, and I don't need to work more, and I have so much space, and it makes me feel so generous in my time and what I have to give, and it just feels really, really, really amazing.
Yeah, there's like hustle periods and there's rest periods. And I'm someone that takes my rest periods seriously. Like I love sleep, I love space, and I love to have fun and just like fuck around and just like play in life. And so if I don't have that, I'm not a well person. And so I have to prioritize. Like it can be addicting to keep launching, keep launching, keep launching. But when you find that balance of like, okay, I did it the first time, I know what it takes, I know how many classes I'm having per year, like you really get to have control over your time freedom and not just like wonder when you're going to get a day off, which is so beautifully modeled by you, Nina.
Thank you. Yeah, that's been huge for me this year, is settling into that rhythm and seeing that I do actually have permission to go travel and to have fun and to really take care of myself and run my business with all of my presence, that we get to have both. It's very real.
Mm-hmm. So as we sign off, what would you say as parting words to the woman who's like considering doing this, but she's a little scared and like scared to invest in herself? Like any final words to the woman watching this?
Do it immediately. And if you don't trust me or Jolie, you can call me. And I would be happy to share with anyone anything more about the depth of my experience with you. And there's just no doubt in my mind that right now I'm living the life that I have dreamed of living for so long, like since I was a little girl. And going through this process with you was such an absolutely vital piece of creating what I've created.
Nina, I love you dearly. You're so amazing. You guys follow Nina Camille, and her handle on Instagram is at it's Nina Camille. And she's just living her best life, doing her thing, rocking her clients, and she's just incredible. So thank you guys so much for watching, for taking in Nina's experience. And Nina, you're a rock star. Go out there in the world and shine brightly, woman.
Thank you, Jolie. I love you so much.
Love you, dear. Bye, guys.